in our never-ending quest here at Survival on Purpose to bring you some really affordable options in a wide range of knife styles and manufacturers. Condor is one I always like to look at because I just think they do a pretty good job of providing a good quality knife or tool at a fair, affordable price. And today we're going to take a look at one from Condor. This is called the Low Drag. I kind of want to call it the Swamp Romper, but it's the Low Drag, designed by Joe Flowers. That's what we're going to take a look at coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. I say it like that because I'm certainly not an expert. I've never claimed to be one. I've certainly never been accused of being one. I'm just a regular guy, but who likes knives and guns and outdoor stuff. Been a scout master for a number of years and spent a whole lot of time playing in the woods. I don't know, so that certainly doesn't qualify me to be an expert, but I do have a pretty good bit of experience playing with sharp, pointy things. This is another one of those sharp, pointy things that I think right off the bat, as soon as I opened the box, I liked it. Because I like big knives. If you've seen this channel very often, you probably know that. So Joe Flowers and Condor Knife and Tool were kind enough to send me this one so I can show it to you. And you can see on the side there it says Low Drag. This is kind of modeled after the Swamp Romper series of knives. That's why I kind of think you could call this one the Swamp Stomper. Joe, you're welcome to use that if you're watching this, but it's a really nice knife in my opinion. Let me just kind of lay you down the specs for this thing for a minute, and then we'll take you down the old stump top, get to doing some knife stuff. I'm probably going to check the balance on this one, but this again is created and designed by Joe Flowers, and it is a let me get my little specs out here. Features a 6.58 inch blade of 1075 carbon steel. For those of you still stuck in that old metric system, that's about 167 millimeters. So I can't even say it, much less figure it out. The blade is 0.18 inches thick, or 4.5 millimeters, so a pretty thick blade there. And it's 11.5 inches overall length, or 294 millimeters. Features a micarta handle with 3 sleeved pins that you can use for lanyard holes or whatever in there. Full tang, as you can see, and it comes with something that Condor is really famous for, a very nice, well-made leather sheath, and this is kind of a deep carry sheath, belt sheath, with a firesteel loop on the side of it, so that's pretty cool too. And the price for this knife on Amazon is somewhere around 68, 69 bucks at the time of this video, so a pretty good value there. Features kind of a modified Scandi type saber grind, and barely a clip point. I'm just going to call this one a big old bushcraft shape. So there's that. Without a lot more rambling, let's just take you down to the old stump top and get to doing some knife stuff. We'll do a couple of maybe a different test than I do on a lot of knives, just to try to mix things up here a little bit, and then we'll take you over to the old scientific testing facility here at the worldwide headquarters for Survival on Purpose and do some of that scientific balance testing. Okay, let's get to doing some knife stuff here. So you can see this is a pretty good size knife. It's got a very comfortable micarta handle on it with a nice little palm swell there. I mean, Joe Flowers knows his knives. He's really almost a knife historian. His level of scholastic knowledge and just intellectual knowledge about knives is probably beyond anybody that I personally have ever met. And he's also just a knife user, so he's not just it's not just theoretical for him. He knows what's going on. So anyway, let's give you a quick close-up of the sheath. Very, very nice, thick leather. Just a nice welt, nice ferro rod loop, which probably is going to need some stretching out to get a ferro rod in there, but this leather will kind of stretch over time, but you can get a regular size ferro rod in there, and but it's going to take some pushing and some it needs to get broken in like a good pair of shoes, but it'll fit just like a 3/8. Now we got to get it out again. I pulled the handle off this cheap ferro rod, so we'll see if we can get it out. Okay, it's out. Yeah, these cheap ferro rods do that all the time. So anyway, there we go. Put it aside. Put you aside for a minute. And it's a pretty good size blade. It's kind of a cross between a camp knife and a small machete. So I'm just going to do a little bit of chopping. I've got just a piece of let's see what I got here. I got a piece of pine, reasonably dense pine. I don't know. We'll see how well it chops. And it's got just a little bit of a flare on the handle there. I'm going to use like a 2-finger chopping grip. We'll just see what happens. Oh, she bites. Okay, so obviously this is pine, not a hardwood. We'll go ahead and try something a little bit harder just for kicks. Not even sure what this is, but it's been split out already and chopped on a little bit. We'll just go ahead and chop on it for a minute. It's definitely harder than the pine. But okay, so take a close look at this blade edge and just want to see. Let's see, there's no chips or rolls in that. It's one of the complaints of people have had about some of the earlier Condors where the edges rolled. 1075 steel, but no rolling there. Pretty good shape there. So we'll call that one a pass on the chopping. Now, it's not a super heavy chopper, so it's not going to chop like an axe or even a larger machete, but it did get the job done for smaller camp type tasks. We'll try some feather sticks with this piece of cedar I got here. Now, it rained all day yesterday. This may have absorbed some moisture, so I'm not sure if we're going to get a fire going with it, but we'll see how well it feathers anyway. With this Condor semi-scandy kind of edge they put on these things. At least they put on this one. And it actually is doing pretty well. Let's see if I can go ahead and split this out a little bit, get down something a little drier. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so up close, you got a lot of control of this thing. It is very well balanced. And we are going to verify that scientifically very shortly, but it's just very lightly graze it along. It carves off some really small, fine little curls. So, kind of make a little pile of those. I'm not going to spend a lot of time carving feathers here because either it will or it won't, and as you can see, it really, I mean, it will. I'll get you up close here where you can focus on this and really see how small of feathers that thing is carving there. Can you see that? I mean, that's a pretty good edge. Pretty useful edge. Pretty useful blade profile, I think. I don't know, it doesn't have a really sharp feeling spine. But let's just see if it'll scrape some cedar shavings down. I don't know if it will or not. So if I get right up next to right up here next to the handle, feels like it's got a little more of an edge on it, a little sharper angle, and it does scrape up some nice little furries there. So we'll cut those off, and then put them down here, and just for kicks. You know where we're going now, right? Get the old fatwood chunk here. See if we can scrape some of that off. Okie dokie. I'm going to do a couple little carves, little curls off of there too, maybe. Okay. So, pretty good at carving. Just to see how the outer end up here does for carving. Let's try that. Don't have nearly as much control when it's way out on the end there, but you still, it's got a good edge on it, and you still, profile's pretty good. So I guess if you needed to do some carving, you know, you could carve it like that maybe. You could use this thing like almost like an ulu. But there's that. As far as scraping goes, or striking a ferro rod, which we're going to see in a second, it really doesn't have much of a sharp edge here. But when you get right up close to the spine, that the kind of the bevel roundedness here kind of goes away. You got just a little bit of an area there that seems to be sharper. We're going to find out right now. See how she does. So, sometimes on a larger knife like this, I do use the pull away technique. Oh, we finally got it. I don't have as good a success aiming it, but we got it. And that cedar, again, smells so good when it's burning. So, one other thing I wanted to try, and I don't know how well it's going to work, because this is 1075 high carbon steel with a kind of a polished finish on it, but we're going to try it and see, because either it will or it won't. But let's see if this thing will work as a flint striker for flint and steel type fire. Again, not really optimistic that this is going to work, but it's worth a try. Let me just move this out of the way. I don't want any false positives on the test here. Don't want you thinking there's any monkey business going on. Just gonna put it right here where you can see it. No ashes in there. Nothing's gonna get this thing burning. We're gonna see if we can get some sparks off of this. I don't know if we will or not. I know for sure what we'll do is ding the edge up, but that's okay. Let's just see if we can get some. Not getting any right now. Let's see if I can get any at all without. Oh, just a couple. Okay, so I am admittedly not the best at this, but I have been able to get a spark with several other knives. We're going to call this one a, if it's possible, I'm not good enough. And we'll put this charcoal off back. But that is beyond the probably the intended capabilities of this knife. Anyway, I have scratched it up pretty good on the back there. So, but everything else it did great at. Okay, well that was some practical testing of the Low Drag, designed by Joe Flowers and built for you by Condor Knife and Tool down in El Salvador. Gotta say, as I said at the beginning, I like this knife. I kind of figured I was gonna like it just from feeling of it in my hand. It's got a pretty good sized blade. You know, I like larger blade knives. You know, they're kind of like my favorites. And this one's really comfortable in your hand. Feels really well balanced for use. I mean, the balance point of this thing is just about right there at just where your hand kind of winds up. So it seemed like it just did everything very well. It didn't do very well on the flint and steel, but again, that's kind of, I just want to do something a little different. That's kind of extreme. Most knives actually don't, in my experience, at least not with my at my level of expertise. So that being said, you may know that here at Survival on Purpose Worldwide headquarters, we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge knife testing facility, and one of the apparatus that we have here is the balance, orientation, and rotation device. We use that for testing the balance of knives in a more scientific manner. So calibration, as you know, is very important in using this device. The calibration is really critical. So hopefully I'm going to do this one with zero prior calibration. We'll see how she goes, but let me quit rambling. Let's do some balance testing. That was indeed the first calibration throw. That's kind of fun. Okay, that may be a first ever. 5 in a row, cold, no calibration. But that's like a bullseye from a cold barrel. So we're going to call this one balanced. Okay, well, based strictly on balance testing, I think this thing may have just earned itself a spot on my wall of favorites. It is a just a very capable knife, and I don't. It's hard to put it into words, but the way this thing just seemed to naturally want to fly from my hand perfectly into the balance, orientation, and rotation device here. Man, it was truly a thing of beauty, and I wish I could somehow capture that feeling on video, because it's it is balanced. I'm going to say that. It also did a really good job on the chopping, the basic knife stuff, you know, basic carving. I think for just an all-around camp style knife that can cover a whole lot of tasks for under it's under 70 bucks at the time of this video. This could be a really good choice for you. Micarta handles, which I really like. The 1075 steel, which Condor has done just a really good job. They got a lot of experience with this steel. The thickness of this blade at 4.5 millimeters is really thick enough to be pretty tough, and the edge seems to be okay. So it's not shaving sharp, but it's sharp enough to get the job done, and I'm sure you can sharpen it up even more shaving. And it's got enough thickness where I don't think the edge is not going to be super fragile. Just a really, the point is almost center of the axis here, not quite, but good enough to get the job done. Just a really nice knife. And the sheath, as always with Condor, man, I got a piece of steel in my hand now from rubbing this thing. Anyway, I knocked some chips off of it. But anyway, like all the Condor sheaths, it's very, very well made. The sheath itself is probably, if you had to buy it separately, would cost you 30 bucks anywhere. So really good deal, a good value, and a good knife from the folks at Condor. Once again, thanks to Joe Flowers and the folks at Condor Tool and Knife for sending me this so I can show it to you. As always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and every Saturday, and very often random videos throughout the week. You can check out another one right here. If you're not subscribed, please click down in the corner and subscribe. Ring that little notification bell when you do so you don't miss a single video. I really appreciate your support. Oh, and thank you so much for doing all your Amazon shopping through the Survival on Purpose links. It really does help, and I thank you so much. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.